I'd like to now call the Human Resources Appointments and Equity Committee meeting to order for January 17, 2017. Council Clerk, please call the roll.
Calling the roll, Ms. Brown.
Here.
Mr. Gallagher.
Here.
Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones is absent at the moment. Mr. Miller.
Here.
Ms. Conwell. Here. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Is there any public comment related to the agenda?
No, Madam Chair, no one has signed in.
Thank you. I will now ask for approval of the minutes from the December 20th meeting.
I so move.
Second.
There's moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and I will abstain as I was, I'm sorry, I am, I can approve, so aye. And I think that's an abstention for
I'll abstain.
Mr. Gallagher, okay. Please let the record reflect Mr. Jones is now in attendance. We will move on to our agenda, starting with letter A. Council Clerk, will you please read the first item into the agenda?
Resolution 2017-0003, confirming the county executive's reappointment of Michael Abuzaral to serve on the Cuyahoga County Audit Committee for the term 1/1/2017 through 12/31/2020.
Thank you, Mr. Abuzaral. If you'll please step forward and give us a brief overview of your experience and why you would like to be a part of this committee.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right.
So looking first walking my experience and I continue to be on the audit committee? Okay, sorry. So my current position, I'm the Vice President for Finance and Business Services at Cuyahoga Community College. So we obviously have a lot of interaction with Cuyahoga County from my position over at Tri-C. I've been there 8 years. Prior to that, I was the CFO for Cleveland Public Power at the City of Cleveland for a period of time. Prior to that, I was both the executive director and the assistant director for the Ohio Lottery for a couple of year period of time between both of those positions. Prior to that, I was the assistant finance director for the City of Cleveland for a period of time. Prior to that, I worked for the Auditor State's Office, both in the financial audit area, and I also started the performance audit or consulting area for the Auditor State's Office. And in that position, I actually had a lot of interaction with Cuyahoga County in that we did a number of performance audits in my prior position there. And then prior to that, again, my third time at the City of Cleveland, I was got my staff accountant and worked myself up to the city controller. So that's been my experience. All my experience has been within the public sector. I am a CPA. I've actually overseen internal audit departments before, which I know is kind of a key role here of the audit committee, as well as issued financial statements and oversaw financial audits. So this is actually a reappointment for me for the audit committee. I think I'm the longest standing member of the current audit committee here. So just a couple of reasons of my desire to want to continue to be on the audit committee if it's approved by the county council. So again, from all of my work in the public service, I have kind of an understanding and appreciation of the work that we do, and I would like to continue to hopefully provide my help to the county and to the audit committee in regards to that. Being an actual resident of Cuyahoga County and kind of a supporter of the new form of government here, I think being on the audit committee gives me an opportunity to help in regards to both the county and actually the continuing implementation of the new form of government. I have an appreciation for the work that audit committees actually do, again, from my past experience in regards to the roles that I played. So, and actually the way that the audit committee process has been structured here at Cuyahoga County, I consider to be kind of the best practice in the way that it's actually structured and the roles and responsibilities that we have. I have a strong appreciation of what a high-performing internal audit department can do and how it can benefit the organization. And again, I think that the structure and the way that the internal audit department actually reports up to the audit committee and then the role that we play, I think is helpful. And I do think the county has a great internal audit department. I think they're doing all the right things, and I'd like to continue to be a part of that. And again, just from my experience with the audit committee, I've enjoyed the time that I've been there and would like to continue to be considered for the position.
Thank you so much. And before we go into questions, comments, or concerns from the committee, Ms. Lindy Bird, we're a little bit out of order, but if you'll just share the your oversight and summary of the Audit Committee's role?
Sure. Madam
you so
Chair, the Audit Committee is a five-member committee. Four of those members are appointed by the county executive. One member is either the president of council or appointment made by president of county council. And the county exec and the fiscal officer also serve as ex officio non-voting members on the committee. The qualifications in our charter are that the member must be a resident of Cuyahoga County, and these are the executive appointed, and that the executive appointed members must have experience in the field of auditing, accounting, government operations, or financial reporting. And obviously, we feel that Mr. Abuzarol is a great fit with this job. He's a CPA. He's 30 years of experience, public sector experience in financial administration and auditing, and we're very grateful for his time. He served as he said, chair this last year. We are grateful that he's willing to continue to commit his expertise and that the county can continue to benefit from his knowledge and skills.
Thank you so much. And now, if there are any questions, comments, or concerns from the committee, please. Mr. Miller, Councilman Miller.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Mr. Abuzarol. I congratulate you on your recommendation for reappointment. I really appreciate the service that you've provided. It's very important to have an independent look at some of the financial processes that we have in Cuyahoga County. And my question is whether there are any areas that you're aware of where there are particularly risks that proper controls or processes might not be in place, and that you feel over the next year or two need the attention of the Audit Committee.
Sure, and thank you for your comments, Councilman. So the couple, I guess a couple things, a couple ways I can answer that question. So the Internal Audit Department actually does a great job of coming up with a risk-based audit plan. So they will actually kind of assess the individuals here within Cuyahoga County and actually come up with areas that potentially are of risk. So there's actually a risk-based audit plan in there. That's actually the focus of the Internal Audit Department as they move forward and decide how to allocate the resources. I would also just like to compliment the finance team here at the county, because just as of a couple of years ago, when the external auditors were actually coming in and doing their audit, there were a significant number of audit issues that they had identified here at the county, those that actually made the reports and those that were deemed to be within the management letter. And the finance team here, under the leadership of Dennis Kennedy, have done a really, really nice job of whittling a very large list down to it's still a list, but it's certainly moving in the right direction. The Internal Audit Department right now is working on kind of the second phase of the health benefit audit. So I do think that once that audit is actually released, there will be an additional area of focus for the county. So yeah, there's still areas of improvement that have taken place, but there's still areas of focus that the Internal Audit Department will be working on.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions? There being none, I'd like it to make a motion to move this item to the full council under second reading suspension. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, this item will move before the full body of council for second reading suspension. Council Clerk, if you'll read the next item into the record. Thank you.
Resolution 2017-0004, confirming the county executive's appointment and reappointment of various individuals to serve on the Cuyahoga County Board of Developmental Disabilities for various terms as printed on the agenda.
All right, and Lindy, if you will, Ms. Bird, if you will give us a summary of the appointments coming before us.
Sure. So the Board of Developmental Disabilities is comprised of 7 members. 5 are appointed by the county executive. 2 are appointed by the senior probate court judge. The qualifications, this is all laid out in Ohio Revised Code. The qualifications for board members include a member must be a resident of the county and a U.S. citizen. Person must be interested and knowledgeable in the field of developmental disabilities, and to the maximum extent possible, have professional training experience in business management, finance, law, healthcare practice, personnel administration, or government service. in addition, whenever possible, the executive actually must appoint at least 2 individuals who are eligible for services provided by the county board or are immediate family members of such individuals. And whenever possible, the executive should try to make sure that one is for one of those persons has experience or with adult services and one with early intervention or child services provided. So today we have before you one new appointment, Cynthia Schultz. She would replace outgoing member David Crampton. And then we have the executive has recommended 2 reappointments, that of Steve Licciardi, who was unable to join us today, and of Tanya Yunkin.
Thank you very much. If Ms. Schultz will please step forward and share with us your experience and the reason why you would like to be a part of this board, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Wait, there it is. Now it is. Okay. Okay. Thank you for the invitation to join you this morning. You have probably my resume and those kinds of some background on me in your materials, so I won't go over that in detail. But what I would tell you is that professionally, I have been a communication executive in Cleveland for more than 30 years with Dixon Eaton, with the Cleveland Foundation, and now with CalFee Solutions. And so that is my professional side. On the personal side, I have 4 children. My husband and I have 4 children. They're all young adults, and I have a daughter among them who has special needs, significant special needs. She's 33, so I have 33 years of experience in raising a child with special needs. I'm also very involved in the community. I have served on a lot of nonprofit boards, specifically related to this cause. In my own community in Middleburg Heights, I was the founder of a program called Adapted Sports for Kids, which is more than 20 years old now, and it provides year-round recreation opportunities for kids, not just in our community, but the entire West Side, who come together and play baseball and swim and basketball and all kinds of year-round recreation activities. And that program is called Adapted Sports for Kids. In addition, my husband is the volunteer coordinator of our Special Olympics group in the Berea, Middleburg Heights, Brook Park area, and it is one of the most active groups in Ohio. We also are the pilot for a new program that Special Olympics started 3 years ago called Young Athletes Cleveland, and we have kids coming, tiny kids. These are 1 to 7-year-olds. Special Olympics is competitive 8 years old and up. But for the teeny tiny kids, there's Young Athletes Cleveland. We've got kids who come from about 30 different suburbs all around, as far away as Youngstown and Barberton, who come to get together so that their kids can have some physical activity. And that program is run by volunteers who are all college-educated young professionals, so it's really fabulous. Let me tell you a little bit about my daughter and my interest in this cause. My daughter, at the age is 33. When she was a kindergartner, she was in the first pilot program in the state of Ohio for inclusion of children with special needs into regular public school education. So she's always been a pioneer, and kids her age are the first to have come out of the public school system, always included. So I do see the change in this new generation and the needs that have changed. For example, these kids have been educated and they've learned. They have been trained to do lots of jobs, and they have learned. They have gone to all the school dances and football games and all those activities. They have been warmly embraced by their peers, and they don't want to move into a place where they are babysat all day or taken on field trips. They want jobs. They want to be as independent as they can within the community. So I do see the need for the kind of progress that needs to be made for this new population of young adults with special needs. And because I've been in the system so long, I understand the difficulties of trying to maneuver through the system. The state system is very complex, and there are roadblocks all along the way, and it's nearly impossible sometimes to navigate it. And I know this because I have tried to navigate it. And so I really understand on a personal level how difficult it is for families like mine to access the services that they need. And those are more improvements that we need to make. And at this time, the community of developmental disability is going through massive change. I mean, it's just transformational. All of the new rules and regulations coming down from the state are going to make us have to operate at the county board in way different ways. So I think I could bring to the county board personal experience of what is needed and what will be needed in the future to serve the needs and accommodate people, individuals now coming out of public education and having an expectation to be contributing citizens to the community, to be employed workers and taxpayers, and have the assistance that they will need and the accommodations that they may need to be able to do that. So I will stop there and invite you to ask me any questions you may have.
Any questions, comments, or concerns from the committee? Okay, one of the questions that I have, Ms. Schultz, is you have a ton of experience, as you've expressed, having your own child. I would imagine you've utilized some of the Cuyahoga County's resources. Can you speak to, is that a safe
Yes.
to say? Okay. Can you speak to some of the programs and services that you have found most beneficial?
Well, to be very honest, we were able to receive a waiver maybe a year ago. So up until now, my daughter was on a waiting list. So we received very few services. Waiting lists are another issue. We need to move people off waiting lists. But since I've had some support from the waiver, it has been wonderful. My husband and I have a little bit of respite care. We can actually, before that, I had a house full of my 3 other kids and all their friends, and somebody was always available. When you become almost an empty nester, when those siblings go on and start their own lives, it's back to the 3 of us. And so it's been wonderful to have those services, those respite services for her. It's been wonderful to have caregiving services for her because we both work. She works at Heinen's. We've been able to bring a job coach into Heinen's. That's been terrific. So once we were able to move from the waiting list, it's been a phenomenal change in our life for a daughter who will always live at the poverty level. She will only ever be able to make, a bit of money that is not enough for her to be self-sufficient, and will always require a lot of support from her family. So giving that support to us has been a gift.
Thank you. And I guess my next question that would follow that is, given your experience, do you have 1 or 2 initiatives or priorities that you would like to bring to the board?
I think the first thing I would like to do is listen. I'm pretty well informed because I stay informed about these things, but I would like to listen and meet with board members and find out more about the challenges ahead. So I don't want to come in there with my own agenda. So I would first do that. But I do think there are some global issues that need to be addressed. One is to streamline this system, the state system, so people can have access. Another would be to move people off waiting lists. 30 years is a long time to be on a waiting list, and you can only get waivers typically if you are in a state of emergency. So all the families who are trying to avoid a state of emergency, which is the typical state of emergency, is mom and dad are in their 80s, something happens to one of them, the other can't fully take care of the child, and now you're in a scramble. So most families would like to avoid that. And also having more housing options. We all have all kinds of options for where we could live. You know, in the country, in the city, in an apartment, in a house, numerous options. There are limited, really limited options. There are group homes and a few other things that parents can try to cobble together. And with this population coming out of public schools, we need some choices for these individuals. So those are some of the bigger issues that I see, but I'm not going in with, my own agenda. I need to listen and learn, but I do have some fresh perspective, probably.
I think so, and I thank you and truly appreciate that. I know Councilwoman Conwell might have a question.
Through the chair to Ms. Schultz, I wanted to touch bases a little bit more on the waiting list so I could have a better understanding. That waiting list is from the Department of Developmental, or is it county?
It's county.
Okay.
And it exists all over Ohio. The Center for Community Solutions did a study, it's coming up on 2 years now, 45,000 individuals who qualify in the state of Ohio are on a waiting list, and that number grows by 100 every month. And in this county, I'm not sure what it is, but it's over 2,000 individuals who qualify and need some support. It may be just transportation to a job because mom and dad work and aren't there to drive Billy. But there are a lot of reasons why, but we need to think in new ways about how to move these people into better situations so that they can work, or mom and dad can help to set up a place for them to live before they are on their deathbeds, which is a huge fear. This is, being able to die in peace when you have a child who can't care for himself or herself. That is every parent like me. That's what we, in our heart of hearts, worry about. So we need to move them, and they're. It's kind of an all or nothing. People who have the waivers get all of their needs met. People who don't get none of their needs met. So there are a lot of changes we need to make.
Is that income-based in any kind of way, or is it just first come, first serve?
No, it's not first come, first serve. It's not income-based. At the moment, you have to be in a serious state of emergency. So if on a visit, if somebody sees that you have a nice clean house, mom and dad work, and the child appears to be well cared for, they've been managing on their own, and they will continue probably.
So you shared with us that it was basically 30 years before you got off the waiting list. Mm-hmm. So that was pretty much as soon as she was almost born.
Well, you get on the waiting list when you know your child has, and for a long time you don't necessarily need it because your kids are going to public school. They have all those services, and we were able to manage through all those years. But it gets a little more difficult when they become adults.
Okay, I think I had one more question. So where did you, because I'm really new to this, so where did you go to get on the waiting list? Trying to.
Probably filled out forms. I mean, that was
And you turned it into where? That's where I'm trying to.
county board,
Thank you.
and that's the way it works throughout Ohio.
Thank you.
If there are no further questions, I understand there is a meeting coming up soon, and I'm not sure if we should move this first appointment or do both. Okay, all right, so we have received your testimony. We thank you for taking your time out today and really appreciate your service, and we welcome the new perspective that you will bring to the board. We're going to move to our second item and collectively vote on Bs 1 and 2 after we've heard from our other appointees. So
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next reappointment is Tanya Yunkin. Did I say that right? Okay, all right. Please step forward and give us a little bit of your background and why you would like to remain on the board.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning.
So I have both business experience and I'm also a parent. So I'll start with a little bit about my business experience. I am a chemical engineer by training, but shortly thereafter, and diving into the technical world, I received an MBA from Case Western Reserve, and soon thereafter worked for 16 years doing various management positions at Energizer Batteries. About 2 years ago, I went off and worked for a year in the consulting world, doing marketing research and analytics, and today I am the director of marketing at a small nonprofit in Shaker Heights. I am a jack of all trades. I'm also a swim coach. I also teach private swim lessons. So, and in that realm, I've sort of run my own business as well. So I do have a great deal of professional experience that kind of circles around both technical expertise, business process management, marketing and analytics, as well as sort of small business ownership and now nonprofit. On the personal level, I am a mother with 3 kids. My husband and I have a 13-year-old on Thursday. So we're getting ready to enter into teenage years. I have a 10-year-old who has severe developmental disabilities. She has intractable epilepsy, she's visually impaired, and she has cerebral palsy. And I have a 4-year-old, all girls, my poor husband. My husband actually works for the Cleveland Metropolitan School District as an assistant superintendent under Eric Gordon. We're both very active in the community. I also serve on another board as I'm on the marketing committee and the programs committee, and I'm on the board at the Shaker Lakes Nature Center. I've been a board member on the Cuyahoga County Board for 4 years, and in that role I have served on the HR subcommittee, the Children's Services subcommittee, and I'm currently also on the Medicaid and Community Services subcommittee. You asked me mostly about my background, or do you want me to move into
Why you'd like to continue
why
to
I'd
serve?
like to continue? So as a parent of a child with special needs, I echo a lot of what Cindy already said. There's a very large internal desire to become connected, to ensure that I can do whatever I can to provide for her future. And I do a lot of that every day with her one-on-one, getting her involved in the community and activities, mainstreaming her as much as possible. But then there's kind of this drive to realize that, there's only so much you can do at home. And there are boundaries and limits, as much as we like to think that there aren't, still out in the community. I think we've come a long way. You know, as Cindy was saying, it's been about 30 years since we started mainstreaming our children. But with that mainstream comes its own challenges. You know, what I've seen, and, you know, when I joined the board 4 years ago, I had a 6-year-old, and I was still really much connected to that children's services world. Now with a 10-year-old, I'm starting to look more forward and become more interested and connected to where is she going to be when she's 18? What are the opportunities for her as an adult? And so when this opportunity arose 4 years ago, I saw it not only as an opportunity to kind of look at how those government processes work in terms of how her life would be impacted now, but now I really look forward. From a strategic perspective, there's a lot we're doing with a lot of the laws that are coming down from the federal level and from the state to kind of to change the way as a county we are required to provide services. And to, I think, the general consumer, which I'm one of them, that can be very scary. And I think one of our big hurdles moving forward is quality of care. One of my positions throughout my career, I was a quality assurance manager and a quality manager. Quality is very important to me. I think there's insight there that I can provide in terms of how we continue as we are no longer able to be a direct provider. And a lot of our consumers have a lot of faith in what we do and how we provide those services, how we can continue that quality of care and still manage kind of that care and those relationships for the people that we serve. So looking forward strategically, that's kind of where my view has changed versus 4 years ago, and that's why I want to continue to serve moving forward.
Well, I'd like to personally thank you for your willingness to serve and for continuing to have the desire to serve on this committee. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns from the committee? Okay, just one quickly with the, I will ask you the same question. Since you have served in this role, are there any initiatives that you personally have started, or are there any that you'd like to begin with your second appointment?
Yeah, I sort of touched on it, but I think the big thing moving forward is not necessarily an initiative that I would drive, but working with Kelly, really looking at our vision moving forward and how we are going to continue to serve the public with these new laws that are coming down. So we are no longer going to be able to fill the direct provider role. And so moving away from that model, I want to be more closely involved into making sure that transition goes smoothly, that our clients still get the quality of care that they need. And I think quality of care is really going to be the big initiative moving forward that I want to champion.
And just for the record, that initiative begins as 18? For the law that changes, I'm sorry.
We're making progress towards it now.
Good morning.
Good morning. Kelly Petty, Superintendent of the Cuyahoga County Board of Developmental Disabilities.
Thank you.
Yes, we've already started taking steps towards privatizing our service delivery, but the federal government requires us to be complete with that by 2024. We have concern now related to our budget about whether, we're probably not going to stretch it all the way out to 2024. It'll happen sooner than that, but there are certain programs that we're looking at right now as we speak.
Okay, thank you.
We're already tracking metrics as we make the transition in terms of how that looks. So we've already made a lot of progress towards it.
Okay, thank you. If there are no additional questions, comments, or concern, I'd like to make a motion to approve. Oh, I'm sorry. Before I do that, I'd like to acknowledge that Stephen Licciardi was not present today, but he did submit a letter to the committee stating his desire to maintain his appointment with the Board of Developmental Disabilities. And so with my colleagues' approval, will respectfully accept that in his absence. And then I'd like to make a motion to move this agenda item 2017-0004 to the full body of the council under second reading suspension. Do I have a second?
Second.
Excuse me,
Been a
Madam
second.
Chair. I'm so
Yes.
sorry to interrupt. We may have a change on the begin date of the term for Ms. Yunkin and Mr. Licciardi. And I just wanted to know, what is the process around doing something like that?
I think we would need to make an amendment to the dates.
When it comes back, would we do that here too? Or could we do that at the second reading, or would it need to be done today?
We can do it either way.
Okay.
I understand. If you'd like to, if you
I'd
know
rather-
the dates right now, we can do it now, or if you'd like to have it amended at the full body of the council, just to be sure.
The latter would be better if that
Okay.
works.
All right.
Apologies,
Okay.
thank you.
Then we'll do that.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Miller?
Before you vote on this, I would just like to commend the executive and the administration for finding really capable people that have both personal family experience and also have professional experience that's relevant. And I'm very impressed and just appreciate the quality of people that we have serving on this board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. I think the entire committee would echo those sentiments. I see that we have a first and a second. If there are no additional questions, comments, or concern, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. This will move to the full body of the council under second reading suspension. Again, thank you for coming out and sharing your stories. We really appreciate it when you come before the body. And you ladies have a great day. Is there any miscellaneous business from the committee? There being none, any public comment?
No, Madam Chair.
All right. If there being none, this meeting is adjourned.